Welcome to Thank God You're Not My Child. Remember, it's a comedy podcast where I talk about whatever I want to. And this week, I think we're going to talk about becoming a parent. I see a lot of young parents, and I'm just going to say one thing. These young parents these days, they have so much more than what women in the past, parents in the past have had. It is amazing the things that you can get to help take care of your baby now. And when I first had my son, as you all know, if you haven't listened, go back and listen. I have episodes that talks about I was a high school mom. And life wasn't easy. And it wasn't easy because I think when you become a parent, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And my husband at the time didn't know what the fuck he was doing. When you have your first kid, all you have to go on is how you were raised and what you've seen. And so going in to raise a family as a teenager, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I just knew the bottom line was I wanted my kids to love God and to be good humans, to take care of people, take care of everybody. And that is who I am. I don't care who you are. I mean, if you're a good person, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what color. I just don't care. Because humans are humans. And that's what I wanted to raise my kids as. And I do think I did an amazing job at raising my two kids. They are God-fearing, loving people. And they have amazing families. And that was what I wanted when I was 19 and had my baby. And so looking back, I can see the things that I did that I probably didn't need to do. My son, if he remembers it, when he was little, when my daughter was born, I was so obsessed with everything being so organized and OCD that poor boy, I hope he doesn't remember it, but at one point, his room, his boxes were color-coded for what toys were in them with pictures on the box, just like a daycare would be. And, I'm like, I think at the time, 22, and I'm like, did this make life easier for anyone? Fuck no, it didn't. Didn't make life, it actually made it harder for me. Because when he can't just go in there and clean his room when he's 4.5 at the time, I just had my daughter, and he can't clean his room appropriate because I'm not happy with how he's doing it. And that's not good. I can understand. I did go in there every once in a while in my kids' rooms, and that moment when you're like, oh, what the hell is under your bed? How many cups do you have? All of that stuff when they're teenagers. I would make them clean their room, and if I had to take things away, they would. But I remember when my daughter was born, I felt like I was in competition with my sister-in-law because she just had babies. And I don't know why. Why do women do that? But it was very important that my daughter, I'd buy her we're talking $2.50 shoes at Kmart, people. But that girl, if she had on a pink dress, she had a little pink pair of canvas shoes. But we're talking $2.50 shoes. Now, she is 32, so it was a long time ago. But I don't know why I felt like I needed to make sure she looked perfect. Because it just doesn't matter. And so the older my son got, and I wanted everything to look perfect, it was easier for me to buy solid Wrangler jeans, because that's what he wore. He was tall and thin, believe it or not. If you know him now, you're like, what? But I would buy him slim Wranglers, but I would buy him black, blue, gray, just solid colors, because it didn't really matter what you put with it. He was fine. And so that's why he wore forever, and I didn't have to worry about matching. Then my daughter came. And I would buy those shoes and wanted it all to match. And then the older she got, it just didn't matter. If she wanted to wear pink shoes with a green dress, who the fuck cared? I think I started lightening up a little bit as a parent because those are not the important things. I don't think when I was raising my kids, I knew what was the most important. And really, it's where their heart is. That's the most important thing as a parent. If your child is hurting, you want to help correct it. You don't want your child to hurt. When they hurt, you hurt. And do you know what? It doesn't change. My daughter's 32 and my son's 36. And when they hurt, I hurt still. When I know my daughter is sad, I'm sad. When I know my son is sad and hurting, I'm sad. And I'm an old mom. And so these young moms that are telling old moms they fucked up, you know what? Maybe we did. Maybe we did. I hear a lot of, I'm going to call them millennials, if I can say that right, because that's what I'm seeing. And they're cutting off ties with their parents because their parents fucked up. Now, I know there's people out there that have been abused by their parents. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the people that have kids and realize I shouldn't have been raised like that. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they were too strict. Maybe they weren't strict enough. The millennials, not all of them, but there's a lot of them, they're cutting off their parents because they raised them wrong. And I'm here to say, maybe we didn't know what the fuck we were doing either as a young parent. And I had good parents. My parents were like, own it. I just found out probably 15 years ago we was poor. I didn't know we was poor. I did not know. I never felt it. I never felt when I needed a new ball glove and we had beans for a week. Those were things I never felt because my parents kept that from us. And do I think that's a good thing to do? I don't know. I think our kids maybe need to know about our money some, but it's not a bad thing. But to cut off your parents because they raised you wrong, maybe talk to them a little bit. Remember, I'm not talking about the ones that were abused. I'm talking about you were too strict. I can't believe you made me go to church every week. I heard that one. And if your parents made you go to church with them every week, and that's the worst thing they did, and you cut them off, you might need to rethink your life. I'm just saying. Because one of the most important things when my kids were young was I wanted them to love God. I want to be in heaven with them one day, and that's my belief. And so that's the way I raised my kids. My husband and I agreed. That's the way we raised our kids. But we fucked up as parents. We did. When my daughter was 4, because of emotions and me wanting more kids and him making me not, and just a lot of shit, we divorced. And it wasn't good for our kids. We should have talked through it more. And I know that. And we did get back together 2.5 years later. But it was still a mess up and it still affected our kids. And the only thing I can say about that is I'm just so glad that we got remarried because we got to raise our kids together. We got to be together when my daughter got married and my son got married and they graduated college and my son went to a Marines. I can say I raised a Marine and I raised a beautiful art teacher and photographer. And she's a great mom. And you know what? She's a great mom, not because of anything I did, because I have fucked up so much. And I do believe the divorce from her dad 4 years ago, was probably harder on her than the first one, because she remembers the first one because we were separated. I was in Texas and he was in Indiana. It was 1,000 miles between us. It was not easy. And it affected our kids. And I think that's what, as parents, we get so focused in what our life is and going to work and taking care of our kids and softball and all of church and just life, cooking dinner. And it's hard. So when you see these old people that have kids and they're trying to, you know what? We know that we might not have been the best parents. No, but this is what you got. And the best thing you can do is teach your kids to love everyone. I'll be the first one. God didn't say to hate anybody. Just love everyone. And that's what I raised my kids as. And you know what? That's one thing I can be confident in. I raised two good humans. Even though I wasn't the best parent. I think I did too much for my kids at first. Totally did too much for my kids at first. Probably should. I'm a big believer now that even a baby can listen to woof and learn. Because I have in the daycare for as long as I did, I would have babies going shoo at 7 months old. It's because of the routine. Ooh, you shooey when they go pooey, and it just helps with potty training. But that same kid wants, as soon as it starts walking, wants to help set the table for lunch because you're letting it. It wants to do more. And that was one thing I wish I had known when my kids were little. Let them do more. Because kids are amazing. And if you'll listen to your kids, they'll let you know what they want to do more of. Maybe you want them to play softball, but they don't want to. Maybe you want them to do theater, but they want to play softball. If you listen to your kids, they'll tell you. My son played basketball one season, and the few minutes he got to play, he was great because he was so tall. And once he realized he could get that ball from everybody and then let someone else shoot it. Oh, those 3 minutes and 92 seconds he played that season was amazing. I was like 3 minutes and 92 seconds. Yeah, it was so amazing. He played softball once. I don't know how many minutes he played, but he did hit the ball a few times. It was so wonderful. But you know what? It wasn't his thing. It was my thing. And football, when we were divorced the first time and I lived in Texas, he played football for a year. Now, I'm just going to let you know. I just moved back from Texas, from Indiana, getting divorced. And my son wants to play basketball. Sure. Oh, not basketball. Football. Sure. I was a little fucking shocked when I showed up with my, 8-year-old maybe, 9-year-old, 8, I think. This is full contact football for my 8-year-old. And do you know what's bad for that? Is he's a very tall 8-year-old. So they assume that he is going to knock the shit out of people. And he didn't like it. He didn't like it. Because being as tall as he was the first one knocked down. He lasted a year. He did finish, but he didn't like it. He really liked ROTC, which was funny because the day he came in to say, hey, I don't want to upset you guys, but I think I'm going to join this ROTC. All I could do was laugh because he had no clue I was in high school when he had no clue I was ROTC. He never asked. When I got pregnant with him, I was in ROTC. Then I had to work in the office because I couldn't be in uniform pregnant. I was in high school. No complaints. My sergeant top that I have. That man supported me when I was pregnant. And his wife, she brought me some baby things. And I was just a white high school girl pregnant. And in Longview, Texas, at that time, I was like the only white girl the whole year. The year before, I had a friend that was pregnant. Her name's Christy. She moved away. I lost track. When I got pregnant, she'd moved away and I never saw her again. But I was the only white girl pregnant that year. So it was a big deal. And I mentioned I wasn't in drama. I was in tech at Longview, Texas. And I love the tech part of the theater. And so I did get some credits out of that. And that was when these stupid boys would come up and rub my belly and say, how's the baby? How's the baby? And it just annoyed me so fucking much. How's the baby? Just to let me tell you, okay? When someone's pregnant, if you don't know them enough to say, no, I don't know. How's your boyfriend? I don't know. Don't touch the baby's belly. Don't touch the baby belly. But I remember telling my boyfriend at the time, because we didn't get married till my son was 3 months old. I remember going home telling him, stupid, there's these 2 or 3 boys in drama that keep coming up, and it just annoys the shit out of me. And what should I do? What should I do? Should I say, stop touching my belly? Should I say something? Because this is all new. I'm an ROTC girl that wasn't going to have sex and ended up having sex. Okay. I didn't know what to do. And so one day I'm sitting there and my baby daddy, Michael, my ex-husband, walks in. And he walks up to these boys that have been touching my belly, meaning nothing. They didn't mean anything about that, but it was annoying me. And they were making fun of me just a little bit because I got caught. I had sex. I got caught. I got pregnant. Because, a lot of people have sex in high school. They don't all get caught with babies. But I'm going to tell you, if you're going to have sex, there's probably could be a baby come out of it. But he walks up to these boys and just nicely say, stop touching my girl's belly. Not a big deal. Not a big show. The big deal to me is, and I will probably never find out if he remembers it, but I went to high school with Matthew McConaughey, and he was one of the guys rubbing the belly. And I'll never forget that. But then I sit here and think, he's went on to make all of these movies and millions of dollars. And the one thing that I'm envious, let me say that again. Envious the most, and that he's best friends with Woody. That's what I want. Fuck the money. I want to be friends with Woody. So yeah, that's what he got. Okay. Gonna be a hell of a lot of editing today. I'm really hoping I can get back into the DeLorean, but these new knees are causing problems climbing into that little DeLorean. Do you remember the DeLorean? Well, it's a little darker than this, I'm telling you. Got to set that up a little different. But this new knee, I'm getting a new knee next Monday, and whoo, that's my second new knee in 4 months. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to this. So when I became a parent, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So when kids gripe about, oh my God, you were a fucking horrible parent. Really? Do you think we knew what we were doing? I don't think my mama knew what she was doing either. And she knocked it out of the park. And that's just my thoughts. I know I screwed my kids up some, just by some of my failures. My failure, I cared way too much about my weight. I used to be over 300 pounds. And when I realized that I had a problem was when I lost 120 pounds or so, big, huge drop. And we are eating, and my daughter says, is there fat in this? And I think it was salad dressing. And I said, I don't know. And so I looked, I said, it's ranch. And I told her, and she goes, what does it matter? Now, I watched everything I ate, and she knew it. I didn't eat certain things. I ate fat-free if I could. And this rubbed off on her. She said she didn't want to be fat, so she didn't want to eat that. That was one of my failures. I don't think if you're I know we all have weight problems. I still do. Now I can't seem to want to eat, and so the weight's coming off. And, if it's coming off in a natural way, like I was, when I first started this, I could drink a blue margarita every night. I could drink more of them. And now I'm having so many issues that, I had a couple of blue margaritas on the cruise a couple of weeks ago, and that was pretty much the max I've had. And so I know 20 pounds came off just with that. And so, but I'm down to 50, and it's because I can't eat. So hopefully that will stop, because I don't want to lose all my booty, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to say, if you're a young parent, maybe instead of being mean to your parents because of failures, well, first of all, you're going to correct them, because I know my kids have corrected some of my failures. I don't want them to take my failures. I want them to take my good stuff. I want my kids to learn from the love that I had for people. I want my kids to learn from, I took care of kids. I can't even tell you hundreds of kids over the 30 years or so that I took care of at daycare. I want them to pick up my good stuff, not my bad stuff. And unfortunately, our kids will pick up our bad stuff. So yeah. So have you ever thought about what kind of parent you were? What kind of parent were you? Really dig into your heart. I've been doing that. And I realize I wasn't a really great parent. A lot of stuff I learned along the way with my kids, and some of it hurt them. And that's going to happen, people. I think my son and daughter know that things that they do in their life will affect their kids, because it does. So the bottom line is what do you want your kids to grow up to be? I want my kids to love people, and they do. They love everyone. I want my kids to love God.